Who's out there? Is anybody out there? Somebody's out there. Come on, say hello. There you guys are. Tell me where you're from. What's happening? Put it in the text box. Big things happen at night. Hey, June. And David. Benny from Virginia, where things are happening. I'll bet there's a lot of people from Virginia paying attention today. So if you're from Virginia and as you guys are starting to tune in, if you're from Virginia, make sure that you ping us and you say something. Also, if you're from Jersey, make sure you say something. And then we'll talk about a couple of things here tonight. Mostly we're going to talk about Virginia. We're going to talk about Virginia politics, about the implications for the possible, right? There's some possible. Hey, Shelly, how are you doing? I see a lot of folks. So you guys, first, let me start off. This is Jim with Crawfordology. If you haven't been here before, make sure that you follow us. And oh gosh, I even forget which side. Like and follow us. Share this, by the way. Share it with your friends right now. If you're not busy, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, just hit the share button. Share it with all your pals as we talk about the politics of the day and Youngkin, this interesting thing that's happening in Virginia at the moment. Hey, I want to share with you. I have to remember how to do things, right? So I want to share with you the American One website. If you haven't been there before, visit us at American One to follow these different things. If you had been following us and you had gone to American One, the first thing, well, besides the President Trump coin, it's the greatest coin ever, you would see that there are all sorts of advertisements that pop up for Youngkin on our site. There's actually a way to support Youngkin. Of course, that was yesterday, and now it's the day. It's the day of decision making, and we're going to see, what happens. Does Glenn pull it off? I'll tell you. At some point early in the race, I had a chance to meet with Youngkin, with Glenn Youngkin, and with the various candidates, and I was really pleased to see, just what a kind person he was, and I thought he carried himself well. He wasn't polarizing, and that's the sort of thing that we see really carrying the day right now. People were turned off, if we like it or not. And don't crucify me, Crawfordologist, because people were turned off by Trump and by some of that bravado. A lot of us love it, but some people just really, can't take that. And they went the other way, and they've gone to Joe Biden, and now we see these career politicians like Terry McAuliffe and folks being seemingly rejected here in Virginia. Now, there's going to be tons of discussion on this over the next couple of days, but let's take a look, and let me tell you what we're looking at, or what we're going to look at. Let me get up here to the right spot. So rather than look at a map or seeing somebody else's commentary on this, I'm right here at the Virginia. Let's see if I can make this just a little bit bigger for you. This is the Virginia Department of Elections at virginia.gov, and this is the actual 1,934 precincts of 2,855 reporting. And here's what it's looking like. About a 10-point lead right now for Glenn Youngkin. That was updated at 8:50, and we'll continue to watch this as it goes on throughout the next few minutes. As we talk a little bit, look, Youngkin was a solid candidate, and if you remember, we played a video out on Crawfordology. You've probably seen it in other places where it showed that as McAuliffe and Youngkin debated, and they came up to the issue of schools, there was Youngkin saying, hey, I think parents deserve to make decisions for their kids. And Terry McAuliffe, I think when we look back at this, we're going to see that moment where he says to folks, I don't think parents need to tell the schools what to teach their kids. And folks, that is a fundamental difference between conservatism and liberalism. The idea that the state can run your children's life better than you doesn't start with the Democrats of today. It starts with the socialist and the communist of the 1920s. Okay? The idea that you would have your children turn you in for doing something poorly, it also had a role there with the fascist, right? When Terry McAuliffe stood up and said, that is the way it should be, the schools should decide what your kids are going to learn. And then he stood there and throughout the campaign has told mistruths about critical race theory, claiming that none of that's being taught here in Virginia, as we've spent the last 24 months with the state on fire, right? We've seen not just the Black Lives Matter, but we've seen a number of events that have happened. Now with 2,043 precincts reporting, still that 10% lead for Youngkin. It's looking pretty good. Hey, look, a couple of places have happened already. So Virginia needs to turn, 3, 4, maybe 6 seats in the General Assembly. And I think I've already seen 3 races called for the Republicans that are flips. And this is the importance of having the political discourse, allowing ourselves to have a discussion so that we can decide what we want to have as a country. What do Virginians believe in? What do Virginians want? And I think what we're seeing is that Virginians don't want to go too far to the right, and they don't want to go too far to the left. They really like that steady rudder that can help lead them and guide them. And folks, we'll see by the end of the night, I think we're going to see some very interesting results. Some of the web stories are already starting to call it for Youngkin. I can tell you that a couple of not so I'll say not so neutral sites have called it for Youngkin. And people are saying that, hey, McAuliffe's got no chance. I just want to point out, and this is something that we have to consider. In Virginia, any ballot that was sent and postmarked today can count up until Friday. So they're really not going to certify the election. And let me point this out right here. Absentee ballots may be accepted until noon on November 5th. Therefore, results are incomplete. Results will be certified on November 15th. Now, for those of us who feel a little bit, Dale, I see your LGB, FJB, and I laugh a little bit, man. The places that we're seeing, let's go Brandon tags kind of everywhere. It's very comical. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen? I know the Fairfax. So I just lost you there on the Fairfax ballots. Where Remedios. Okay, can you guys give me the easiest names? I always love it. All right. So what's going on with the Fairfax ballots? Is cheating in progress? No. So look, I think that there's a risk in any one of these elections these days that we're going to see a little bit of funny business, and we do in most elections, right? There's a little bit. The question is the funny business big enough to sway the needle to move the scale? What I'll say about Fairfax is terrible planning for Fairfax. If ever in the history of elections I wanted to have an election that went off without a hitch, this is the one. So for Fairfax to earlier place an 8 o'clock and 8 p.m. self-imposed deadline, and then 15 minutes after the polls closed, start saying something to the effect of, "Hey, we're going to remove that. You know, we're not gonna do that." So I I don't know. I see some stuff out on the web about, and Cynthia's just sharing something with me here from Harmeet Dillon, who says that folks heard from a top GOP lawyer in Virginia tonight that the Fairfax County thing had to do with an out-of-date defective memory card. Look, people should lose their jobs for things like this. We vote once a year, once every couple of years, and if we can't get that right, if you can't keep that part straight, if you can't manage to execute flawlessly once every 365 days or once, every 2 or 3 years, then we probably need to find somebody who can. But it says both sides signed off on the rescan, and it was witnessed by GOP lawyers in the room the whole time. Ain't over till it's over, but looks good for Youngkin. So interestingly, there are lots of folks who are looking at this and paying attention. As you would imagine, you don't get through the last election as we just went through all this. Let's see what's happening here at 9 o'clock. 54.74% for Youngkin, 44.54, 2,043 precincts reporting out of 2,855. So really looking strong for Youngkin. And what's happening now is, remember, Virginia was going to start with the absentee ballots, which have tended, and the early ballots, which have tended to go for the Democrats. So now, as we have the typical conservatives who tend to vote on election day, that's going to start to even increase Youngkin's win or Youngkin's margin here. There will be some places that, like Fairfax County, where we'll see the numbers come in, and that's going to make some changes. Again, pointing out that up until November 5th at noon, absentee ballots can be accepted. I've seen some memes out there that Fairfax County is printing off all the new stuff now. Fox News has called it for Youngkin. Newsmax is now calling it for Youngkin. I mean, this is big news, folks. If this is happening, and if we see, let's see what they're saying over on the Wall Street Journal. They have not called it there yet. And I was watching a little bit of CBN earlier, and CBN was almost ecstatic over the outcome. So I can bet that. Hey, look, this is such a huge thing for gun rights, and people tried. I mean, I will tell you, Terry McAuliffe tried everything that he could to keep folks thinking that Youngkin was anti-gun, that he was anti-Trump, that he was pro-Trump. I mean, they went all directions trying to find those wedge issues. But look, I think at the end of the day, it really stands to, can a guy be reasonable and even-headed? And I think that's what you get with Youngkin. And can he parlay a win and joust with somebody like Terry McAuliffe, who's willing to say and do almost anything to move the needle on the election? At least that was what it appeared to me. So folks, if this reporting is right, and I see some folks have reported it here, Youngkin is going to carry the day. Now, look, he's going to have some serious coattails on this. I have already seen some career politicians here in our area with numbers that are really upside down, that it would seem that it's almost going to be impossible for those folks to overcome those numbers, just as the following precincts start to report. In most cases, about 2/3 of the precincts have reported, and it's looking pretty good. So having moved at least 3 seats already, there are several others still in play, and I think that we could see 2 houses move. And if we can keep that momentum going into into the next election for the Senate, we could find ourselves with back to a conservative, at least middle of the road government here in Virginia that's not doing crazy things, that's not breaking the laws. And one of the things that I think could be most important in this is having a Republican attorney general. So knowing that somebody like the attorney general also had a chance to meet him, I mean, he was looking great. Chris Elliott's asking about Anderson in the 23rd. Chris, let's look right now. Go into the scorecard. So if you guys want to follow along with this, and you have to leave us at some point. Gosh, why is this cutting me off? It is very easy to do. It's Virginia Department of Elections, and let's see. You said that's the 83rd. So as we go into the 83rd, sorry folks, I realize you're watching the thing scroll. Here's what it looks like. Tim Anderson, 56.57%. So Tim Anderson's a Republican attorney who has really been sticking it to some folks. Now that's 17 precincts of the 25 reporting. 56% of the vote to 43.43 for Nancy Guy. It is again looking solid for the Republicans. And I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see John, I haven't been tracking Missouri, and I haven't been really tracking, to be honest, the stuff in New Jersey. I did hear that there is, oddly enough, we have good news down here in Virginia, or at least it looks like good news shaping up, and they're starting to call it for Youngkin. Winston Sears, as the lieutenant governor, was looking very good. Let's just check back, going back over to the Virginia Department of Elections here, and Sears right now is 54.83%, a little bit better than Youngkin against Ayala, with again same number of precincts reporting, so 45% for Ayala, 9% going to Sears, a 9% advantage, almost 10. The Attorney General, Jason Miyares, again, a great guy, 54.41% to Mark Herring's 45.52. Now with 2,041 precincts reporting. And hey, let me just tell you, you could actually see some of this today if you were watching the messaging coming out of the White House from Biden and from his folks. And the things that he was saying and the things that his folks were calling, they were saying things to the effect of, well, you know, it really doesn't matter what happens in Virginia. That doesn't have anything to do with our policy. That doesn't have anything to do with our people and our ability to get things passed. It's not something against Democrats. So they're already trying to separate themselves from what's shaping up to be a good night for the Republicans here in Virginia, and looks like it's going to be a rough night for the Democrats. You know, this is going to lead to questions over the next year. And, you know, what is going to happen at midterms? If they continue on this path of pushing Green New Deal, socialist agendas, the continued destruction of the values of the United States, the ideas that have kind of carried us forward. Look, if anybody on the line today can make sense of the idea that we have a president who has stopped drilling for natural gas and oil in our own country, and he's calling OPEC and Russia and asking them to increase production. If somebody can make sense of that for me, you know, then man, I'm willing to sit and listen. But it's these policies, the failed policies of Democrats, that have lasted somehow. They carry throughout the ages. It's like we get amnesia. You know, something will happen, and no matter if you like Donald Trump or not, you could look at Donald Trump and we could see the results of his policies were positive. They were positively impacting Americans. Look at the difference in the price of a gallon of gas today. Look in the difference of a pound of fish, your vegetables, anything that you can imagine, the inflationary pressure that's on right now because we've had these policies to pay people to stay home, to give free money. Too much money chasing too few goods is the definition of inflation. And that inflationary pressure eventually has to be paid. And that is the pain that we're feeling right now. And I don't think it's over, folks. I think until we have an administration with some economic sense and an understanding of how the markets work, we're going to be facing this sort of pain for a while. So it's good news here. If Youngkin has really found the magic to get those independents in the suburbs to come out and vote, and look, and I think in large part it was Terry McAuliffe and the critical race theory, and I think in large part it was the policies of Joe Biden that drive people to say, I don't want that. I don't want to be around those things. From a business perspective, we talk about it. We have a business. Yeah, John, I see there gas is $3.24 and it was $1.87 with Trump. Yeah, it's crazy that we would close down the things that actually help differentiate us in the markets, that we would succumb to these crazy ideas that, hey, if you guys don't shut the pipeline down from Canada, you're going to melt down the universe. Meanwhile, China, India, all building brand new coal-fired power plants. While the heartland of America, while coal country suffers, we have these other countries that are starting to dig coal in their own countries, and they are ginning up power plants that are coal. So if we just move the power production from the United States to China, what does it do to the universe? The answer is nothing, right? There's still bad air in China. There's still bad air, smog going into the to the skies and circulating around in our atmosphere. The challenge that we're going to have, in one way we shut down China and we shut down that sort of misbehavior, is we use the clean gas, clean coal as an advantage that we have here in the U.S. We have the infrastructure to have manufacturing. We don't have to pay for shipping. So why worry about unloading those ships in California when we can't get dock workers and we can't get truckers to come and do those things? Manufacture the things here. Manufacture the things closer to home where we can manage it. And I think that that's what sensible people do. So back to the election. Let's just check in here real quick and see if there's an update. 2,223 precincts reporting. Youngkin up 54 to 45%. So 54 to 45%, just slightly under 10%, and continues to be strong. Winsome Sears 54% to 45% for Lieutenant Governor, and the Attorney General 54 to 45% for Jason Miyares. And look, this is fantastic. This is fantastic news. You get an Attorney General in who's able to look at all the things that have happened over the last several months and to discern, was any of this stuff criminal? Was any of the tearing down of statues and other things, was that against the law? Did we have things that were happening that were really beyond the pale? So I think that's what we need. We've got to have responsible government. People have to be held accountable if they have stepped over the line here, and we've got to bring that back. So, just looking quickly at a couple of other key races here, the idea that Youngkin has found the magic may lead us to have a very carefully studied campaign for the rest of this year as we go into the midterms. And look, it's not that many seats we've got to flip to turn the House and say farewell to Nancy Pelosi. I know many of us would like to do that. I wish we could get the folks like AOC out. Hard to do when you have the New Yorkers who seem to only care about these kind of crazy ideas. So, checking in, I just wanted to see with the Wall Street Journal real quick if they have called it for anyone. It looks like not yet. Looks like everybody else is just doing their thing. But folks, we're having a big night for Republicans tonight. So for those of you here in Virginia, I'm really happy. Want to check real quick and see if we can see what's happening in New Jersey. So bear with me as I try to pull up the New Jersey Board of Elections. So here we go. And look, New Jersey was looking much worse than Virginia. One thing that Youngkin was able to do was to stay out of all of the cesspool that McAuliffe was trying to drag him into. All right, let's see, Betty. We don't know the candidates' names. Just say the name of the state, then the rep percent, and okay, Republican percent, Democrat percent. Please keep it simple. Okay, sorry, Betty. Sorry. Okay, Youngkin, governor, running for governor of Virginia, and 54% Republican, 45% Democrat. So right now, with 2,223 precincts reporting, Youngkin and the Republicans in the lead. Sears, Republican, 54% to 45% for the Democrats. Miares, Republican, 54% to 45% for the Democrats. So all three Republicans in the major state elections are sweeping across here with a very nice lead at this point. 9+ points, and looking very strong with about 2,200 precincts reporting in each of these elections. I want to look real quick here in our Hampton, Virginia area. We've got a family here that does a good bit of they're Democrats. Again, good folks, but not we're not like-minded when it comes to the politics. And that race is a little bit close with 26 precincts of 30 reporting. But this would be a flip in the House. I'm sorry, in the so the Republicans have 51.76%, and the Democrat Martha Mugler has 46.61%. So interesting in the way that some of these things are shaken up. If we end up with, I'm going to go back to that 80, what was it, the 81st? Not the 81st. And I'm sorry, I just don't have time right now. So Tim Anderson in the 83rd, the Republican, 56%, 17 precincts at 25 reporting, and he's at 56% to 43 against Nancy Guy. Again, very strong, looking very good. Looks like we could turn this House. Looks like we could turn the House for the Republicans. So Linda Hansen says the New Jersey Republicans only 3.2% behind. So it's definitely trying to find on their website how to see what's happening today. And forgive me, but I don't see an easy, not quite the easy way that we have here in Virginia to track. Maybe here. That's voter registration. I don't care about that tonight. Well, New Jersey is heavily Democrat. So you've got a much larger number of Democrats there than you do in Virginia, although Virginia is also leaning these days Democrat. But I think New Jersey has about a 10% margin when it comes to Democrats versus Republicans, maybe even more than that. Yeah, Eva. It sounds like Youngkin's going to pull this thing off, and I do want to pull up. Let me see if I can just pull up some of the other news sites here and see what. Okay, so I'm looking right now at the Fox News site, and I'll share this with you. And it looks like they're saying Youngkin's ahead. GOP hasn't won statewide office in 12 years, but could sweep all three tonight. So here you can kind of see the map and what it's shaping up. It's the cities: Richmond, Norfolk. You've got Northern Virginia here, but your cities having most of the blue, and it's those other places not looking so great for certainly for the Democrats. So hey, as far as I can tell, and folks, I know everybody's interested in going and kind of flipping on the tube and seeing what's happening, probably shaking down. I just wanted to get on here tonight. I've been gone for 3 weeks. So I had a great trip. We had some great, went back to the cradle of democracy. We were in Athens, Greece, Cynthia and I, and we were really looking at and thinking about our country and thinking about how it ties back to those days, and just so proud to be American and see what we've done with what started there. Tonight is another great example of that. Folks, keep saying those prayers for the GOP, that we pull something out here in New Jersey. It looks like we're going to pull something out here in Virginia that's going to be just unparalleled in at least the last 12 years. When I moved to Virginia in 95, we were easily considered a red state. I mean, it was mostly conservatives. Let's keep watching. RD, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Don't think that it's going to go away. RD says tomorrow it'll be gone. Look, we're going to and one thing I will say is I don't think that Youngkin is a fool. I don't think that Trump was a fool. Missed you too, John. I will tell you that I think that if there's some funny business, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it, and we'll just have to see where it goes. My thoughts are they've got to fight so hard now. These are big numbers to overcome. So big numbers. And when you see that Youngkin is polling well in some of these traditionally stronghold counties for the Democrats, man, that's about all she wrote. So keep the faith, guys. I will check back in with you this week, and God bless you all. Have a great night. Enjoy the victory.